Now, let's talk about if you're at a different level. Maybe you were able to borrow some money from some friends, maybe family, which is how a lot of companies get started, and then they just pay it back. So what would you call that?
So that's funding. That's like lending, right?
Right.
So you can borrow money. That's another way you can get funding for your business.
Exactly.
You can borrow money from family, from friends, or even the bank, right? That's funding. If you're in kind of the software technology realm, they call it VC funding, venture capital. These are like people, organizations, and sometimes banks that just loan money to online businesses, but usually like SaaS, which means software as a service, or technology type, e-commerce type businesses. They're going to give you funding to get started. That's another way too, right? So don't count out family or friends to fund your business.
Yes.
Many successful businesses that started today started because of what they call angel investors. There are those that usually write small checks, $50,000 to usually $250,000 to fund that business, right? So don't count them out. There are people you know. There are people you know, friends and friends of friends, you know, your network that have resources that will help you to fund your business. So family and friends is a really big one that can help you to fund your business.
And they have a lot better interest rate than the banks.
Most of the time, yes. Very, very true. Yeah.
Okay, so you have that one. Now, let's say someone just is getting started in business and they want to borrow from the bank and get funding. How is that possible? Because everybody on the internet, specifically IG, says anybody and everybody can get business funding. Is that true?
Technically, yes and no, right? So yes, in the sense that anybody can, but no in the sense that not everybody can. But a lot of people just post a lot of things out there for clickbait. They don't tell you the whole truth because their goal is just to get views and comments, right? But really you can, right? Most banking or funding sources, they typically like at least a 620 and above credit score. And the higher your credit score, the less the interest rate typically is.
Right.
And the lower your credit score, the higher the interest rate typically is, right? So they usually want to have good credit. Most of them, 99% of the time, they want it to be the PG, which means personal guarantor of that loan. So that even though it's a business loan, it might not show on your credit report, but if something goes down and you are unable to pay, so you are the personal guarantor, that means you're personally liable for the loan or the debt, right? So you get your credit score up, right? 620 and above. Really, 680, 700 is a really, really good place to be, right? You need to get an LLC. You need to get an EIN number, get a DUNS number, right? From Duns and Bradstreet, right? It's also good to also have a good relationship with the bank, right? Don't go with the big banks, the Chase, the Bank of America, the Wells Fargo. They're not small business friendly because those banks, they have customers with a lot of money, right? They like to loan money to customers with a lot of money. So usually the smaller banks, the Truist Bank, Ameris Bank, Fidelity Bank, credit unions, the smaller banks are easier and happier to loan you money, right?
Right.
And here's something people also don't know about too. It's easier to get anything under $50,000, right? What they're going to require is easier or it's less compared to if you want to loan $100,000.
So, but what would they require though? What would be the requirement? I can't just walk into the bank and say, "Hey, I need some money for my business."
Exactly, you can't do that, right? They're usually going to need at least your business to be registered with the Secretary of State for at least 2 years.
Okay.
They're also going to usually need you to have some form of revenue, and the revenue should be at least 3 times what you're trying to borrow. So if you want to borrow $50,000, they want to make sure that at least you do average of 100 to 150 a year in gross revenue, and your profit margin is closer to what you're trying to borrow, right?
Right.
Now I'm talking about just borrowing, right? Now there's another type of what people call business funding, which is just kind of funding your business with credit cards. That's totally different, right?
Okay.
You seem to have a good personal credit score, right? You need to if you need like $100,000 in funding, then you can typically go to banks, key banks, Truist Bank, credit unions that would typically give you like $25,000 in credit card limits. So if you get 4 of those, that's $100,000.
So that's $100,000
in funding that you can use to start your business, right?
Right.
So if you have credit score of 680 and above or 620, don't be saying, "Oh, I don't have money to start." No, leverage your good credit. Get credit card. That's the easiest one to do.
Yeah,
it doesn't need underwriting, nothing like that.
Right.
Find the banks that can. I just named some earlier. You can rewind it back. That will just give you $20,000 to $25,000 in credit card limits. You get 4 of those. That is $100,000 that you can use to fund your business. It's different from business loans. Business loans of $50,000 and above is going to require underwriting, and they're going to need like 2 years of tax return, and they're going to scrutinize everything. Right. So yeah, so that's pretty much the 2 basic ways to get funding for your business that requires the bank in one way, shape, or the other.
Right. Now, of course, because we are savvy rich friends, we're not going to sit there and max out any cards that they give us. We are going to be wise. And at least if we do come close to maxing out the card, we have a strategic plan that I'm talking about 80 to 100%. It's going to turn over. Yeah. You're going to get a quick and a sufficient ROI so you can pay it back. Okay? Because we want to also be wise with leveraging our personal credit scores.
Yeah, that's very, very important. It's always good to not get funding until you are ready to really implement it and you have your numbers. Because even though it does not show your personal credit immediately, or it doesn't show at all, but if you default on it, it's going to show your personal credit and it's going to mess you up. Exactly. So make sure that you're getting funding that you're ready to utilize and implement.
I love that. And we have said this before, but part of the reason why we love online business is because their overhead is very low.
Yes.
You can get started and start servicing and helping people with a very minimal cost as compared to just a few years ago. If you started a business, there was a lot of overhead. There was a lot of a cost associated with it. And to get started, you really did have to have a lot of funding and dollars behind you. Now, with online business, that doesn't necessarily have to be the case.
Yes, very, very true. It doesn't have to be the case. And that's why we're big proponents of starting online businesses.
Absolutely.
It's easier to get into, doesn't require a lot of startup costs. And the profit margin, the gross margin is also higher.
Much higher.
That thing too, I was just thinking of too.
What's that?
That another good way to get funding for online business, maybe your credit score is bad. You don't have family and friends that has a lot of money.
Okay.
You can't get loan from the bank.
Yeah.
So where are you going to get the money from? You get it from your customers. Right? So you do what we call MVP, minimum viable product, right? Put it out there to your customers. Sometimes you might sell it, put it out there at a discount to start and say, hey, for the first 10 people, the first 20 people, you get it at, for example, 50% off, 20% of whatever the case is, right?
Right.
You can also get your customers to be your funding partners. In other words, you can also use your customers to fund your business by putting out something out there, selling it, taking the profit, and reinvesting back to your business.
Boom. Now, that's a real entrepreneur right there.
Yeah.
That's some entrepreneurial moves right there. I love that. So in any case, we can really have access to funds and different things that will help us to get the business going. Another thing is grants. A lot of times there are grants out there that you can take advantage of, especially if you're serving a minority business. If you are a minority business, you're serving a minority clientele. If you fall into any of the minority categories, it is really a great thing for you to look into grants, get those things filled out, submit them, because you never know what can happen to you. And of course, since it's a grant, you don't have to pay it back.
Yeah. And that's one of the fun thing about grants. You don't have to
Very
pay
fun.
Back. It's like just free money.
It's free money.
To grow your business.
Grow your business, get the word out there, help people.
That's amazing. So, rich friends, this episode, we just wanted to just share with you a couple of ways that will help you to raise money, find money, get money to start and grow your online business.
Absolutely.
And if you follow any of these principles or strategies, you will always have the funds to start and grow your online business. So is there anything else you want to add on this episode for today?
I would say this. You may feel like, oh, I don't have anything. Don't count yourself out. There's at least a grant, maybe your family or friends, maybe your personal credit. If you've been in business or have had an LLC for over 2 years, you will be surprised. You have exactly what it takes. There is funding for you. Just get started. Or if you've already started, scale, grow that thing. There's a lot of people who don't know who you are. They've never heard of you before, but they need you in their life. So be there.
That's awesome. So rich friends, this is the episode for today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this episode and to this podcast. And also too, if you really like what you heard today, share this video with 5 other rich friends. Until next time, we'll see you then.
Bye, rich friends.